Hi guys, welcome to the Paper Oligarch channel where we talk about everything finance. Today I'm going to show you my investment portfolio which implements the pyramid allocation strategy discussed at length in a previous video that, if you're interested, is linked in the description. Please note that this is not investing advice, it's just my portfolio as of March 1st, 2022, before the opening bell, and can change at any time without notification. Usually following an investment strategy without doing the work yourself is almost a guarantee to result in losses, so please be very careful. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's begin. So, this is my current portfolio. As you can see, the biggest single positions are at around 12.5%, one of which is the Tezaur Romanian sovereign bonds. This of course doesn't include real estate at 32.7%, which is a category and not a specific investments, and of course the mighty cash, which I use for potential buys and to assure some liquidity. Other than that, the portfolio is pretty well diversified, since I own 22 investments, out of which 19 are relatively liquid, meaning can be transacted close to real time, and for that I use 4 brokers. I have my main Romanian broker, which is for European and Romanian stocks. I have another broker which I use for US stocks and other international markets. Basically it's used for everything that is not European or Romanian stocks. I have a third one for crypto, which I use specifically in case I need to transfer my Bitcoin to a cold wallet. And the fourth one is for buying and selling physical gold and silver. I also have 3 less liquid assets, which are the aforementioned non-tradable Romanian sovereign bonds, real estate, and my individual pension plan. Today I will go through some of the tickers, but not all. So, for example, if you want to know more, just Google the ticker and the market price. For example, Google search AQ, stock price Romania, and you will get the info about Arvila, which is a distribution company from Romania, the biggest one. And, as always, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. So let's go through the columns a little bit. On the left, you can see the symbol. So it's basically the ticker for the equity that I own. Then you can see the purchase value and the current value, as well as the variation. Basically, the variation is what is the difference between the current value and the purchase value. Then you can also see the currency, the type of equity that I own, basically stock, bonds, indexes, gold, cash, crypto, etc. The category, which is value, growth, ARR, which if you remember from the pyramid allocation portfolio is the asymmetric risk reward, the market, which the equity is in, Romanian, US, Europe, etc. And the last column is the percentage of the portfolio that the specific equity represents. You can also see that there are 4 equities, that the ones with the asterisks, that represent only 0.0 something allocation of the total portfolio, and that is because they are not actually investments, but they are placed on the short watch lists. I learned this secret and do that now all the time to help what's called the reticular activation system. Basically, we notice what we are interested in or are afraid of. So we begin to see red BMW cars when we think about buying one. Basically, when you have some skin in the game, you find the information from that company or sector more relevant and think about it a bit more. The short watch list should not be confused with the other watch lists that I have. Like this one, where I track assets that I like and think have potentials. The ones in blue I already purchased, but for example, I've been looking at FANG stocks for a while, since August 2020, but I still haven't pulled the trigger yet. They still seem somewhat overpriced. I also have different watch lists in the broker platforms. These are more broad and usually help with the discovery of new investments. Also, some of the lists overlap. Due to the war in Ukraine, right now most of my assets are in the red. Luckily for me, Gazprom, which is at row 15 with ticker OGZDL, it's on the short watch list at only 0.0 something percent. Excel wasn't even able to round it at 2 decimals. Since it dropped, I think 90% over the past few days. This month's activity is as follows. First, let's address the sellouts. So I only sold one equity, which is Nuclearelectrica, ticker SNN. And I sold it on different dates with profits ranging between 85 and 100% before the start of the war, which, to be honest, I didn't believe was going to happen. I decided to do it since the stock seemed a bit overvalued, so I made some hypotheses. What will happen to my portfolio if the whole market goes up? Then I lose on this position on potential gains, but my other assets will go up as well. What happens if the sector which Nuclearelectrica is in, meaning energy, which is of course a value play, goes up and other sectors, for example growth, goes down? I am still very exposed to value via my other investments, the natural gas and the indirect ownership of Hidroelectrica, which is the biggest hydro energy producer, so I would be fine as well. The last question is, what would happen if everything will go down? Even though I sold it, Nuclearelectrica is perhaps one of the best companies in Romania and I still love the stock. So, if or when it goes back down at around 35 RON, I will start rebuying again, which is what I call a pro move. Wink wink, sell high, buy low. By the way, this is an inside joke with my friends. Like, investing it's easy, just sell high and buy low. What's all the fuss about? This is a bit funny because after I sold the first time, an article came out saying that the smart money bought like it was Black Friday discounts, implying that the sellers, myself included of course, panicked for no reason at all. Well, it turns out that sometimes risk doesn't pay off. Since I got some money from selling Nuclearelectrica, I also bought some other products. The first one, I focus more on the asymmetric risk reward, which in my case is crypto assets, Bitcoin and Solana. This is a bit counterintuitive at this point, but I was feeling like I was playing a little bit too safe, and at around 2.5% of my total portfolio, I think my exposure is good right now. I also bought Fondul Proprietatea, which is an energy value play since they plan to IPO the biggest hydro energy producer from Romania sometime later this year. Tesla I bought just because I love what Elon does. I would not recommend it buying it right now and my exposure on it is very small. But I have been thinking about purchasing for a long time, so I decided I should do it right now. I also bought BRD, a Romanian bank part of Group Societe Generale, a big French bank, which will give a pretty big dividend this year, somewhere between 13 and 19%. And finally, I put a bit more money into crypto, where I have about 90% in Bitcoin and 10% in Solana. Even though most things are down right now, I feel I am sufficiently diversified among different asset classes, different countries, US, Europe, China, Romania, while also still having a considerable cash position in case things get worse. The plan is, as mentioned, if Nuclearelectrica goes down enough, I'll try to rebuy into it, so the value stock percentage will go up a bit again. Maybe buy some more dividend stocks and focus on indexes, since it represents only 0.9%, let's call it 1% of my total portfolio, and I think I can increase that as well. Also maybe increase the percentage of growth assets, which here includes asymmetric risk reward plays, to 10%, so nothing too crazy. And to wrap it up, this is how the portfolio allocation looks right now. Remember that as you go up the pyramid, the more risk and more eventual profit you can make, but also the greater the chance of losing money. I'm pretty happy with my allocation right now, so I will probably not buy too much this month. Maybe do some dollar cost average here and there, but nothing too major is expected to change. I also will try to take a break from following the markets and the news too often, since I think in the long run is a waste of time. The biggest changes to my allocation are, as you can see, bigger focus on the asymmetric risk return assets and growth stocks, a decrease in value stocks, mainly by the sale of Nuclear Electrica that I mentioned previously, and a little bit more exposure on gold. If you missed my previous video, please check it out by clicking the link. Next, I want to do a video on how I analyze a stock, taking you through all the steps. Please let me know in the comments if you are interested in something like that. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye.